this fucking shit.
What is up, you guys? How you doing? And today we are finally going to be taking a look at the newest movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the third installment in the Ant-Man series, and the first installment in Phase 5, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Now, this review will contain spoilers, so like always, if you have not seen the movie,
Get out. Get out. Get out. Get out.
So let's get right into it. Since we already talked about our expectations going into this film in our most anticipated films of 2023 video, by the way, go check that out. I figured we should give our brief thoughts on the previous Ant-Man movies. You want to go first?
Yeah, sure, man. So I love the two Ant-Man movies. A lot of people give them a lot of crap, just because they're lighthearted, they're fun, they have no stakes. Michael Douglas is great in the movies, and both villains are fine. Like I have a hard time finding things to dislike about those movies.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Peyton Reed does a fine job. So I think the first Ant-Man's a lot better than the second one, but I think they're both fine, and they're both fine entries in the MCU. And the first Ant-Man really does a good job of setting up the MCU as well, like give us more backstory on S.H.I.E.L.D. and the Pym particles and Ant-Man's involvement in upcoming Civil War. It does a really good job of doing stuff like that. But I have no problem with the two Ant-Man movies, and a lot of people give them crap, but that's just my opinion. I don't mind them.
I completely agree. I actually quite like the Ant-Man films, and I agree that they get a lot of unnecessary flack. I love the first one, and while the second one isn't nearly as good, I still find it really entertaining. I love the humor, especially from Michael Pena as Luis. And by the way, it's a real bummer that Michael Pena is not in this movie, and his absence is really felt. Paul Rudd is just so effortlessly charming and likable, and I think that he's perfect for the role of Scott Lang. I love the dynamic and chemistry between the various characters, especially between Scott Lang and his daughter Cassie. And the action set pieces are really memorable, inventive, and creative, and they're able to do a lot of really fun and creative things with the shrinking and growing technology. Now, getting to this movie, it's been getting a very mixed and divided reception, a very lukewarm reception, and on Rotten Tomatoes, it's actually tied with Eternals as being the lowest rated movie in the MCU. But then again, I don't really have too much stake in Rotten Tomatoes. I think it's a very flawed system, but I still think that's interesting to point out. I'll let you go first with your thoughts, since I'm very curious to know what you think.
My thoughts are very all over the place. But very much waning towards the negative side. And I typically agree with you. I want to speak on that Rotten Tomatoes point. I don't really follow Rotten Tomatoes either. What I use to determine audience score is Cinema Score. Which is, people who don't know, is Cinema Score is all over the country. They poll people as soon as they walk out of the theater. What would you give this movie? A to F. Give it a grade. And people give it a grade. And it's just straight out the movie. You don't have to log in online and type in your review like you do on Rotten Tomatoes. So people voluntarily give their reviews on Rotten Tomatoes. Audience score or Cinema Score is just right out the theater. Ask them. And Ant-Man and the Wasp got the lowest Cinema Score ever for an MCU movie, and that makes sense to me. I'm gonna be honest. This movie to me is, it's tonally inconsistent.
Mm-hmm.
It has no thought out tone throughout the entire movie. We're talking spoilers here, right?
Yeah, we are. Yeah.
Okay, so we have in 1 minute of the movie, Kang the Conqueror murders 100 people instantly, and then 30 seconds later, Cassie Lang calls MODOK a dick. And it's played for laughs.
Yeah.
And it's not getting a reaction. The entire theater, no one laughs. It's not getting a reaction. This movie has themes that it's trying to explore with Ant-Man, losing time with his daughter, or the Wasp and her and her mother not having the strongest connection since she's been gone for 30 years. But as soon as they enter the quantum realm, that all goes out the window.
Yeah.
And they never have no character in this movie has an arc. No one grows throughout the movie. No one changes. And walking out of the movie, I was like, what happened in that movie? Because Kang died.
Mm-hmm.
Kang is dead. Done.
This version of him, yeah.
what was the point of this movie? Like I seriously, no character grew. The jokes, did have some laughs. The one supporting character with the holes joke.
The holes, yeah, that was pretty good. Yeah,
that was great jokes.
Yeah.
Great running gags. And William Jackson Harper, his character was great. He was a great supporting cast member. But overall, man, this movie just didn't work for me. Inconsistent tones, not a lot of jokes landed, and no one has clear arcs. And yeah, that's what I got to say about it.
My thoughts on this film are also very all over the place, but in my opinion, in the end, I found the movie okay. In the end, I have many issues with it, and I do agree with the vast majority of critiques that are being made against it, that have been being made against it. But for the most part, I had a decent time with it. As far as the positives go, like I'll go into my positives. I'll go into my positives first, since I think there are good things about this movie. The first things first, the elephant in the room. The thing about this film that pretty much everybody seems to agree on: Kang the Conqueror. We get to see the real deal, Conqueror Kang. After seeing a variant of him in the Loki season 1 finale, like Jonathan Majors was great in that episode and was awesome in this movie.
I hope he has a great chiropractor on speed dial, because he is going to have some hardcore back problems for carrying this entire movie on his shoulder.
He's charismatic. He's methodical. He's menacing. He's just he's just a really cool villain. And I'm definitely curious to see where they take this character. Or at least where they take the different versions of this character, since it seems like this version of this character is now just gone, which I think is a shame, because this Kang was just like so cool and so fun to watch. Like when he makes a threat in this movie, he means it, and that he will just come and cause all kinds of chaos when given the opportunity. Paul Rudd is just as good, likable, and charming as always. Like that dude makes anything watchable, and he has the charisma and comedic timing to make even the jokes that aren't very funny work. And as much as I wish they brought back Emma Furman, who played Cassie from Endgame, and really gave her a chance to shine, I really liked Catherine Newton as Cassie in this movie, and I think her chemistry with Paul Rudd was really solid. I really enjoyed the look of the quantum realm, and a lot of the locations and creature designs and ships, and it were really cool and really creative, and even at some points reminded me of Star Wars, and you had that creature with the holes, and this one creature with a head that looks like a broccoli, and there was that ship that's controlled by sticking your hands in the slime tubes and the gear shift, and there was some stuff there that I thought was really was really cool, funny, and creative. The visual effects are very hit or miss in my opinion, and that's been the case with a lot of MCU stuff lately, because because you could tell that the VFX artists are just being rushed and overworked, and this whole quantity over quality the model that Marvel that has chosen to follow for a while. But when the effects look good, and they look really good. And I thought that Christoph Beck's musical score was pretty good, and I thought the post-credit scenes, especially the one with Loki and Mobius running into this version of Kang from the 20s. I thought those were really cool, and it leaves me really intrigued and excited for the future, especially Loki season 2. And those are my positives. I got this essay, I got this storybook length paragraph in my notes here on different negatives with the film. But you have any positives you want to list off?
Yeah, I'll throw some positives, since I was very negative on my first go around. Yeah, Jonathan Majors is amazing. He is easily the best part of this movie, and him as Kang the Conqueror is going to be great for the next 3 or 4 years, however long he'll play the character. It's going to be freaking awesome, and I can't wait for the future. For Kang the Conqueror, I am just very upset about the ending, but the post-credit scene, the ending with the film into the first post-credit scene infuriated me. We can talk about that later. Because I've given positives. I agree with you with the world building. Oh, the aliens are awesome. The buildings that fly around. it's cool to me. It felt like Star Wars. It felt like pure sci-fi and
Yeah.
Star Wars, and I was all of it for all the creativity that was in this movie. MODOK, I thought as well was great. I liked MODOK a lot. He was comic accurate.
Mhm.
Now, I didn't like the way they handled him in the end, but whatever. He was fine. He brought some like charisma and there's a different personality that we haven't seen a lot in Marvel into the movies
Mhm.
or into the MCU, and I really enjoyed MODOK when he was on screen. I thought he looked stupid, and that's the point.
Yeah.
He's not supposed to look good.
Yeah.
He's supposed to look stupid. So I liked it a lot. Michelle Pfeiffer,
Mhm.
amazing as well. She's a big part of the movie, and she had some great work in there. So yeah, those are positives for me. I didn't hate the movie entirely. It's just, I have a lot higher expectations for Marvel movies, and this one just didn't meet them.
Yeah, Michelle Pfeiffer was also really good, and I appreciated that it gave her like a significant role in this film, and a much bigger role than she had in the last one, because in the last one, like the whole point of the movie was trying to bring her back and get her out of the quantum realm, and now that we're going back into the quantum realm and really exploring it. It's really cool. Like, it's really cool seeing her perspective on it and the knowledge that she's gained of how everything works while she was down there, I thought that was a really cool angle that they were going for, and Michelle Pfeiffer was really good. Now let's get to my negatives. First off, and this has been an issue with the MCU for a while, for a while. It's very tonally inconsistent because at one point, it wants to be serious. You see Kang just absolutely slaughtering people. And there's this whole subplot with like this revolution and these like these quantum realm like freedom fighters you're trying to fight back against Kang and all the damage that he's caused, because like, you have all that and you have all those teams, but then the next moment, like all that dramatic tension is being like undercut with a joke. And some of the jokes do hit, but some of them don't, and like it's still being like undercut there. I know that the Ant-Man films are supposed to be a bit more lighthearted, and the premise of a guy who can shrink down to the size of an ant and communicate with ants is inherently like pretty goofy and silly. But at the same time, I feel like the previous films did a bit of a better job, balancing the humor with the more serious moments. Now, this film is not like Thor: Love and Thunder levels of obnoxiousness or inconsistency, and like it's not like I'm sitting there going, "Oh my God, shut up."
No more comedy.
And like I said, some of the jokes do land and did get a laugh out of me. Like that alien who's like obsessed with holes. Like, great, that was some really good clever stuff. But it's still an issue. And there are even some scenes where I can't where I can't tell whether I'm supposed to take it seriously or not. And that ties into my next point, which is both a pro and a con. For the most part, I thought this next thing was pretty cool. But like, but there's like certain aspects, that I didn't like, and that's MODOK. And what I mean by that tying in is that you'll have one scene where Kang is just being like ultra menacing, and like Jonathan Majors is just really giving it his all. And then the next moment, you see this ridiculous like Mr. Electric from Shark Boy and Lava Girl looking like flying like stretched out Joe Rogan robot head, and it's just impossible to take. It's just impossible at that point. It's just impossible to take anything happening seriously. Yeah. Now I like MODOK, and I thought that Corey Stoll did a good job as him, and I thought it was really interesting how they changed MODOK's origin to be to make him Darren, aka Yellow Jacket from the first Ant-Man. But it's just this weird thing where like you have this this ultra silly villain who's meant to be silly, but and then you have this like ultra like menacing and serious villain. It's just that the two just don't really match, because I enjoyed MODOK, but I felt like he belonged in a different movie. It's like Love and Thunder, where like Christian Bale is like really trying his hardest and giving his all to play a good villain, but he's just in a completely different realm, different movie than the rest of the cast, who like every other second are just making bad jokes. And like, and MODOK is also one case where the CGI, at least in my opinion, like doesn't look that good. And now I know it's meant to look ridiculous, but at the same time, it's just I mean, the guy's head stretched out. It's like his body's all weird. His body's all weird, and like it's just like peak uncanny valley.
Look at this mouse!
Yeah, it's a whole weird mixture of thoughts regarding MODOK.
MODOK should not have been in this movie.
Yeah.
Or-
Yeah.
No, he should not. It's a totally wrong movie for him to be in. Him and Kane the Conqueror were on total opposites of the spectrum, and he did not need to be in this movie.
Yeah.
Granted, I liked him.
Yeah, he was cool.
I
but,
liked the character, but wrong movie. Did not fit the movie at all.
Yeah. Bill Murray's in this movie, which I was pretty excited for since I love him as an actor, both comedically and dramatically. But he's literally only in one scene and just there to give exposition. He was completely wasted. And in my opinion, like anybody could have played his character. I just don't really get the point of like bringing in this like big actor and like and putting him in the marketing, and you only to have him in one scene in the movie and him like not really play a role in the rest of the plot.
Yeah, that with Bill Murray tag on the poster is a stretch.
Yeah.
He is barely in the movie.
Yeah,
That is the biggest stretch ever.
With a cameo by Bill Murray.
Yeah, with a cameo.
Yeah. Like I feel like they should honestly, if they really wanted to have him in the movie, have that character, they could have just removed him from the marketing and that had that be like a big surprise, like, oh sweet, it's Bill Murray. I feel like that would have worked better, but and like for some reason they did that.
Yeah,
And,
at that point they should have put with Tom Hiddleston and with Owen Wilson on the poster too.
I know, yeah.
At that point.
Wow.
And also for a movie called Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, like the Wasp like really doesn't do that much. And like you said before, there's not really a whole lot of development. Like in terms of like these characters and where they're at in their lives and where they're at in this overall universe story. Like not much really changes. Like the only development and change that the Wasp is really given is a bad haircut, and like that's all I can think of.
Yeah. When I was reading out all my notes over here and talking about all the characters and their character arcs, I didn't even mention the Wasp because she probably had the least amount of lines out of the whole main cast.
Yeah.
She did not do a thing in this movie. Barely spoke in the movie. Like,
yeah.
And that makes me sad because I think the Wasp is freaking awesome.
Yeah, she was cool.
The Wasp is a cooler Ant-Man, and she doesn't get anything to do in the movie, and that sucks.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll have a lot of the Wasp going forward if this is the way they're going to treat the Wasp. So.
Yeah. Now getting to my last two main complaints, and the first one is that honestly, this just doesn't really feel like an Ant-Man movie because the first two films were smaller scale, no pun intended. While this one is trying to be this like big, huge, like Flash Gordon, Star Wars esque adventure, but as a result, this film is just missing like the same charm and the same uniqueness that made the other two so enjoyable, and it feels less like an Ant-Man movie and more like an Avengers movie with only one Avenger, or like a less good Guardians of the Galaxy. I get that Peyton Reed was tired of the Ant-Man films being seen as the palate cleansers after the big event movies. And he wanted this to be a big event movie. I saw he mentioned that in an interview. But I feel like but I feel like in this case, trying to implement that here, it just didn't really work. Like I think he's a pretty good director. Like he did a good job with the first two Ant-Man films. He did a really good job on the episode on his episodes of The Mandalorian. But like I feel like this is one of the few instances where I think a filmmaker should have just stayed in their lane. And also, there's not a single action scene in this that is as memorable or creatively fun as the Thomas the Tank Engine scene in the first film, or the highway chase with the Pez dispenser and like the truck being used as like a skateboard in the second film. And the last complaint I have is that I feel like story-wise, this film played things really safe and really and really stuck to like the typical Marvel formula, but not in a way that was that creative or that engaging. Because like you said before, not much really changes. Because this version of Kang, who was built up as the big threat, dies, and he gets killed off, and then in the post-credit scene, we're introduced to all these different other versions of Kang, who from what we're seeing so far, are just just don't compare to the Kangs that we've seen before. And yeah, like I mean, Kang was awesome in this movie, but I was really frustrated with how they treated him.
Yeah, I'm gonna mention two things off what you said.
Uh-huh.
The first one is I completely on this movie doesn't feel like an Ant-Man movie. The other Ant-Man films have done a great job of when Ant-Man goes down to shooting, like visually shooting the movie from a very tiny ant's perspective.
Yeah.
Like, you see little things that are big, like my mouse, my computer would be massive if Ant-Man was standing right beside it. That never happened in this movie. There was never a case of Ant-Man little, big world around him. They never did that. They never really used Ant-Man's power set in a cool visual way like the other films have. And he just went big a lot. Like his name thing now was going really big, which, well, anyway. So I have a problem with that. I didn't really didn't like this movie as much as I did this other ones. Now your point about Kang, I completely agree. In the post-credit scene, they said that all the Kangs said, "Hey, the really evil one is dead, just died.
Yeah, like that sucks. Yeah.
The one we don't like is dead."
Come on.
Everyone's biggest problem with Avengers Endgame is that the Thanos that they killed isn't our Thanos.
Yeah.
Isn't the one that has all the connections and that's been through the same things our Avengers have. Are we gonna fight a new Kang every movie that doesn't remember the Avengers before? Because that sucks. That's stupid.
That's dumb. Yeah.
This sucks more than anything that has ever sucked before.
And if Avengers Kang Dynasty is just the Avengers fighting like 1,000 Kangs, I'm not gonna care.
Yeah.
You gotta have one Kang who is the conqueror. He is the one who conquers. And if they don't I don't know what they're setting up here, because that made me really upset the way they did this movie. I walked out of the theater mad because of it. And maybe that stained the whole movie for me, to be honest, because thinking of the future of the MCU, this is not what I wanted. This is not how I wanted to go. I wanted one Kang who won.
Yeah.
And that was supposed to be this one, but because this is the Kang that was supposed to win, but they exiled him, so he couldn't win, and he's dead now. So future of the MCU, I'm not gonna love it.
Yeah. It's
So we'll see.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. But that was really frustrating. Like I mentioned before, that I felt like this movie, this movie played things really safe. And and speaking of what you said about Kang winning, like there were rumors, and I saw rumors, and I saw rumors for a while that Scott Lang was gonna die in this movie, and that Cassie would become a part of the Avengers, or the Young Avengers and stuff, and it would be like this big it would be like this big character arc and this vengeance conquest. And I also recently saw on Twitter, this could be true, but I don't know for sure, that the film was originally going to end with Ant-Man and the Wasp being stuck in the quantum realm, but because at the end, they got the portal open to go back home, but Scott stays behind to fight Kang, and he's just getting his ass beat before Wasp comes in to help out, and then they work together to defeat Kang. And they're apparently gonna have them get stuck in the quantum realm together. But now again, I don't know if this is true or not. They're apparently gonna have that, but they reshot the ending shortly before the movie's released to have it be the typical Marvel happy ending that we got. With everybody winning, everybody going home and happily ever after. And I think that either one of those would have been really cool and really ballsy, and would have made for for a satisfactory conclusion to kind of the arc that it seemed like Scott was going on in this movie, of like making a big sacrifice and saving the day, saving the universe to make up for letting the fame of being an Avenger go to his head. And as far as the ending we got goes, I think that it could have been improved by, during Scott's like ending narration when he's walking down the sidewalk, and I think it could have been improved by like cutting to black like right when Scott like starts getting worried that the battle is not truly over, and that things are only going to get worse from here. Like, I think that would have been a cool way to leave the audience with a sense of with like this big sense of dread and concern, and yeah, those are my negatives. This film was like I was trying to like it. I was trying to like it. I was trying to really love it, but yeah, so many elements of this film just frustrated me to no end.
Agreed. Everything you said. This movie had no stakes. It had nothing. Like, this movie, when the ending, when the portal opened again and Ant-Man was able to go home, I was like, okay, yeah, that sums up this whole thing.
Yeah.
No stakes, no seriousness. Everybody wins in the end.
Good guy wins, bad guy loses. Big friggin' surprise.
I think that what you said could have been a really cool perspective of Scott worrying, and then that's it. Yeah, he's worrying that because bad things are coming. Kang is coming, but it's just not the Kang we want.
Yeah.
Or that Scott has history with. It's gonna be somebody else who has no idea who he is.
Yeah.
Which, maybe it'll be cool because, like Kang said in this movie, he's killed other Avengers before, and I thought that was menacing. So maybe he doesn't need knowledge of this Avengers specific team because he's killed other teams. So he doesn't need maybe it can work. Maybe I'm just this is not what I preferred, or I didn't enjoy that for the time being. But in 5 years, my mind could be changed. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe they can turn things around, and I hope they do. Now, overall, while this is by no means a bad movie in my opinion, it's not that great either. It has some cool moments and some good ideas and some solid performances, but as a whole, it just really doesn't come together in my opinion. This is definitely a weaker start to Phase 5, and I hope that Guardians 3 and the Marvels and the other stuff we have coming soon can pick things up from here. And for now, I'm gonna give this a 2.5 out of 5. Maybe like Thor: Love and Thunder, I'll end up hating this on second viewing, but that's just how I'm feeling right now. I think that it's like just okay. It's not great. It's not horrible. It's just okay. I would I would put it on the same tier as Black Widow, to be honest.
Yeah, I get your average score, man. I think I'm a little harsher on it than you, though. I didn't enjoy it as much as I think you did, which is fine. But I'm just trying to be more harsher on Marvel movies because I gave Thor the first time around like a 6, and that's no. So yeah, I'm sticking with this one. I'm giving it a 2 out of 5 stars, 4 out of 10. My Letterboxd review I wrote, if Kang wasn't in this movie, it'd be
a 0. Yeah.
Or a 0. Yeah, I put 0. That's right. Yeah. So that's my thoughts on this movie. No characters had any growth, which is the biggest part of movies to me. It's why I go to them, to see characters grow. Nobody was here. Nobody grew here. Tonally inconsistent, but Kang the Conqueror was great, and it had some upside. So I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 10, 2 out of 5 stars. And I hope, like you said, I hope Guardians of the Galaxy is fantastic, but I know it will be.
Yeah.
So I'm not worried.
Yeah, I trust James Gunn like wholeheartedly, and I think that's gonna be a great film and a great conclusion to that trilogy.
Yeah, I remember they asked him one time. They're like, "So how does Guardians of the Galaxy fit into Phase 5?" And he said, "It's in Phase 5." I don't even know. Like he's writing it as its own story. He has no care what the phases look like, which is great. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah. All right, that was our review and spoiler analysis of Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Let us know in the comments what you thought of the movie. Do you agree? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Leave a like, comment, share, subscribe. Do all that good stuff. Support the video. Get us some traction, and we'll see you next time.